Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show that covers all things marketing. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast gives you the latest marketing news, from what major businesses have planned for the coming year to the newest trends in advertising, from podcasts, digital and streaming, to the old standbys of radio, television, and billboards. Whether you're a marketing agent or a business trying to expand your brand, you've come to the right place. The GSMC Marketing News Podcast starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie, and on today's episode, we are going to be talking about retail marketing. Before we get into today's episode, I would like to give a special shout out to one of our listeners. Jackie McNulty has been listening to every episode and commenting on our YouTube channel, and honestly, I just love hearing from her. It is so great to get to connect with a listener and hear their thoughts on the podcast episode. If you would like a shout out in future episodes, then please write a review down below and make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. So let's get right into today's episode. To start out, we are going to be talking about what is new in the marketing world. Our first story of today is that Rihanna's lingerie brand has been accused of deceptive marketing by an ad watchdog group online. The nonprofit advertising watchdog group Truth in Advertising has filed complaints to the FTC and California regulations alleging deceptive marketing from Savage X Fenty, which is Rihanna's lingerie company. Truth in Advertising alleges that the lingerie company has deceptively promoted discounts and prices that are only available to consumers who are part of the membership program, without clearly disclosing the fact in its marketing. It says consumers are enrolled by the company into an extra VIP membership without clearly disclosing the terms and conditions, like needing to take affirmative action every month to avoid recurring monthly charges. The company also says the retailer employs dissuasion and diversion tactics to make it difficult for consumers to cancel their memberships. Representatives for Savage X Fenty Textile and the FTC have not said anything regarding this situation as of right now. However, we do plan to be hearing from one of those groups in the meantime. So I guess this is one of those stories where we're sort of having to wait to hear the end of it, or wait to see what actions will be taken against the lingerie group, if any at all. But I also think it's always a really good reminder to make sure you are always being clear and being concise and being honest with your marketing. Obviously, there's a part of marketing that will always be, we're keeping our information to ourselves for right now until we are ready to give it to the public. However, this does not give an excuse to be dishonest, disloyal, or incorrect with any information you are giving to your public. That always needs to be honest, clear, and concise. So this is just a really good reminder for that. I don't use the brand, and I wasn't really super familiar with it before hearing this news story, but I did look into it after, and it is very interesting to see their marketing and the tactics they have used. So I definitely recommend that you all go out there and you take a look at the marketing they've been using and decide for yourself if you think they've been dishonest. If you have any thoughts on that, make sure to write it in the review down below or reach out through social media. Our second story of today is that Chipotle is crafting a new targeted marketing strategy. They decided to roll out a new membership program that is going to personalize and target each of these rewards members. There are currently 805 million Chipotle rewards members, and Chipotle has launched a new marketing effort called Guac Mode on Monday to encourage loyalty programmers to sign up and to convert digital ordering customers into the loyalty program. Chipotle CMO Chris Brandit said, "We're trying to be a brand that has this great 1-2 punch. I think that combination of reach and frequency could be really powerful for Chipotle going forward. The ultimate goal is to drive a little more frequency and to drive a lot more engagement." Chipotle has recently entered a brand new partnership, giving the chain a greater ability to use its rewards club for personalized data and marketing efforts. Offers can be targeted in terms of content as well as a mode of transmission. Chipotle has also said, if you respond to a text but not an email, we'll stop sending you the email. Also, this personalized marketing efforts will allow for offers to be staggered at different times, avoiding potential operation overload. Brant said, "This is the beauty in the personalization. This enables the restaurant to handle it. We've had some huge days like National Guacamole Day. Here we can pace and sequence some of these things a little better." So this is a really great example of understanding what your marketing should be versus what your marketing currently is. They have decided to focus their marketing efforts on their rewards members since there are 8.5 million of them. This is a really great example of how paying attention to something that is obviously benefiting your company but you haven't really focused on a lot can pay off in the long run. So right now I encourage everyone to take a look at their marketing, take a look at maybe some areas that you have overlooked but are thriving, and find a way to increase your productivity in that area, just like Chipotle did with their membership program. Also, I am proud to say I am one of the 8.5 million people who are part of the Chipotle membership program, so I'm very excited to see firsthand how this marketing efforts will go. Our second story of today is that The Hunt is finally being released with a very different marketing campaign. The Hunt was a movie that was supposed to be released in August. However, Universal Studios put a hold on the movie due to the mass shootings in El Paso, Texas, Dayton, Ohio, and Gilroy, California. The studio stated, "Out of sensitivity to the attention on the country's recent shooting tragedies, Universal Pictures and the filmmakers of The Hunt have temporarily paused its marketing campaign and are reviewing materials as we move forward." So basically all the marketing that went out for the film before it was put on pause showed the film The Hunt as being an action thriller that relied heavily on shootings and the use of guns. However, their new marketing tactics focus it more on being a satire action film rather than just an action film. So it will now be released in March, and if you compare the two trailers, the one that was released in July to the one that is being released now, you definitely will see how they altered their marketing tactics and how they are trying to show the film in a different way, just to remain always being sensitive to what the world issues are around us. And that's always really important, especially when we take a look at retail marketing today. It's always very important that we're staying relevant and we're staying current with what is going on in the world, because we always want to be sensitive and we always want to make sure that we are being appropriate, which is what The Hunt did. Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, we are going to jump right into retail marketing, so stay tuned for that. You are listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and I'll be right back.
Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast covers everything tech. The hottest mobile phones, tablets, games. We review it, rate it, test it. Whether you're Microsoft or Apple, Android or iPhone, we'll give it to you again and again, black and white. The Golden State Media Concepts Technology Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and on today's episode, we are talking about retail marketing. We are going to focus on some ways you can improve your retail marketing in 2020, and at the end of today's podcast, if you stay tuned till the very end, I am going to give you some trends that will be coming up in 2020 for retail marketing. So whether you are working in retail marketing right now or you're thinking of expanding your business into the retail world, then this episode of the podcast is for you. Make sure you let me know what you think of today's podcast and any other episodes you might have thoughts on in the review down below or reach out through social media. Okay, so the first step that I'm going to give you guys and that we're going to focus on is with retail marketing, you really want to make sure your Google Shopping ads stand out. And just to be clear, there is a difference between a Google Shopping ad and an ad for your website. A Google Shopping ad means that when you're looking for a specific item, say you're searching for brown leather boots. When you type in brown leather boots, a lot of websites will pop up, so it's important to have an ad running for your website. But there will also be a list at the very top of Google that has a whole bunch of brown leather boots for the person to take a look at without having to click into any website. You want to make sure that your boots are a part of that selection. So if you don't have a Google Shopping ad, make sure you are doing that, because with over 3.5 billion searches occurring on Google each day, it's no secret that everybody's on there shopping. I definitely do a lot of shopping on Google. I know my boyfriend does a lot of shopping on Google. So having those Google Shopping ads right on top makes it super easy for the consumer and super easy for the marketer to sort of engage and interact without having to click through a website. So Google Shopping campaigns allow retail marketers to sell their product directly through SERPs. So whether or not you have a storefront, this is super worth investing in. So there are a few different ways that you can make your Google Shopping ads stand out. The first one is to organize shopping campaigns by your best-selling items. So if you have a lot of brown leather boots, don't put them all on your Google Shopping ad. Put your best-selling brown leather boot on there. Or, we're going to talk about this more later, put the brown leather boots that are on sale on your Google ad for the month of May or June or whichever month they're on sale for. This way people are going to be more drawn to the boots that are on sale or the high quality boots because they're going to have the best price or maybe really great reviews, or they're just going to look really great, and so they're going to want to click into that and explore them more, rather than just all the other boots that kind of look the same, don't have great reviews, and are very expensive. Also, make sure that if you're going to be selling a lot of different boots on your Google Shopping ads, which I don't overly recommend, but perhaps you find it to be a need for your company, say you only sell brown leather boots, then make sure you are coupling them together that are all around the same price and the same quality. Don't put $500 boots next to $5 boots. This is going to look really bad on your company and really bad on your marketing. More people are going to buy the $5 boots, but maybe the quality isn't great, so they're going to be disappointed with the product. Whereas if you only have the $500 boots, people are going to be like, wow, these boots are probably worth $500. Look at the reviews. Look at how many options they have. So it's going to increase intrigue and it's going to increase interest with your marketing. The second thing you can do is ensure that your ad images are high quality and crawlable. So obviously this should be obvious to everybody. Don't put a low quality or a low res image on your Google Shopping ads. It's just a tiny little image, so you really want it to have a big impact on people, which can be a lot of responsibility to put onto one little image, but it's something that's so important because it's the only thing people get right off the bat. It is your first impression, so you want to make sure you make a good one. Think of it like you're picking out your Tinder profile. You want this photo to show your entire personality, but also show that you have a pretty face to go along with an amazing personality. So that's what this photo needs to do. So get a pen out, get a piece of paper out, or write it on your hand, write it on your phone. Google advises using an image that is at least 100 times 100 pixels. And for apparel items, it should be at least 250 by 250 pixels. Write that down, memorize it, and then make sure every photo you are putting on your Google Shopping ads and on your website are high resolution. I don't want to see no blurry photos. I'm going to go in through the social media, stalk all of your guys' shopping ads, and if I see any low res, you're going to be hearing from me. This is serious, guys. Make sure you really have this down. The third thing you can do is include merchant promotions and product reviews. So 88% of consumers say that they trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. I can speak from experience. When I was thinking about buying jeans online, which seemed really risky to me, I went off of reviews. And when I buy other clothing online, I go off of reviews and I go down and I try to look at the photos of people actually posting the clothes and how they look in real life versus how they look on the model. So if you're already in your Google Shopping ad, including the little star review or including a comment from somebody who really liked your product, that's going to increase interest in your ad. So only put the good reviews up, obviously, and if you're somebody who has really bad reviews right now, say that there was just a shipment of brown leather boots that came out and all the soles were missing from the left foot, then just get rid of the star review right now until you kind of build your good graces back up, because a bad review is just a bad review. You don't want people seeing that, and you don't want people engaging with it. So it's not like all PR is good PR. No. If you have a bad review, do not market that you have a bad review. Only market your good reviews. So the third thing you can do is have promotions going on all the time. Guys, this is such a silly thing to think about, but it's such a real thing to think about. I am constantly getting emails and text messages and Instagram ads of retail marketers saying, only 3 hours left, only 2 hours left until the Blue Monday sale is gone, until the Wild Wednesday sale is gone. But you know what's really funny? As soon as it ends, another one starts. And although I sort of take a look at that and I go, haha, I'm going to not buy it on this sale, I'm going to wait till a better sale, I'm still waiting for the better sale. I am still engaging with their products. I'm just saying this sale's not for me. I don't need anything right now, but I know there's going to be another sale soon. So I'm not unsubscribing. I'm not blocking them. I am not using ad blocker. I want to see the promotions. I'm just waiting for the right one for me. So make sure you always have promotions going. Make sure you advertise your promotions in your Google ads, especially your Google shopping ads, which is what we're talking about. This way you're able to engage with people who are looking for that good deal, but you're also keeping their interest in your product, because maybe they're not buying it this week, but they might be buying it next week, or maybe they're just waiting for a free shipping deal, or maybe they're waiting for a buy one, get one free deal. So always make sure you're having a wide variety of sales. Don't just put the same sale out every week. Even if it is the same sale, reword it differently. If you're doing a buy one, get one free, then do a buy one, get one half off, which is still your sale, but maybe you're making a little bit more money off of it. Basically, work within the regions of your budget, but find new ways to spice it up so it makes it seem like a new promotion every single week. Okay, I hope you all wrote that down. If not, rewind. I'll also tweet this stuff out later for all of you, so make sure you're following us on the GSMC Twitter, the GSMC Instagram, the GSMC Marketing Facebook. All of these are marketing, but also GSMC has a lot of other podcasts that you can go listen to and also follow online. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, we're going to talk about how you can up your social media game in the retail marketing world. So stay tuned for that, because you are listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and I'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and on today's episode, we are talking about retail marketing. Before the break, I told you how you can make your Google shopping ads stand out. We went over 3 different tips and tricks on how you can really increase your Google shopping ad engagement. But what's engagement without a strong social media following? So that is what we're going to talk about right now. I have about 4 different tips, 4 different ideas to share with you about how you can really increase your social media game to make sure that you have that following for that people recognize your brand right off the bat and always want to come back and engage with you because they just simply love your product so much, because you're more than a product. You're a person, you're a team, you're a community. So if you want to showcase that, there's no better place than on social media. So the first thing I want to tell you guys, for those of you that don't know, is that you're able to target your ads by location, age, race, sex, income level, interest, and events. The events one is so important. I feel like I've talked to death about how you can target by location, age, race, and sex, and income level. But how about events and weddings? If you sell wedding dresses, then all of your ads should be targeted to brides, groomsmen, bridesmaids, wedding cakes, wedding flowers, wedding singers, wedding movies, all of that stuff, because although the bride might not be specifically looking for a dress online right now, she might just be looking for her cake. If your ads can come up for the dress while she's looking for the cake, she's already sort of in that mental mindset of, oh, I'm shopping for my wedding right now, I'm thinking all lovey-dovey about my husband, and oh look, the perfect dress just popped up in an Instagram ad. How perfect, I'm going to go visit it. Don't just target the wedding dress. Target all of the interest and the events that go around the wedding dress. This way you're able to engage with her at every different level of her wedding. However, I would like to say, although you might be looking into your wedding cake and you might be looking into your wedding singer, don't book a wedding singer before you buy the dress. Buy the dress first. But that's personal opinion. You guys can fight me on it if you want, but I'm like, the whole wedding revolves around the dress, so buy that first. For those of you that are selling wedding dresses, go ahead and take that that tagline. Go ahead. It's yours to use. Buy the wedding dress before anything else. So the second thing you really need to do is build your audience and build a following. So this is sort of the whole point of social media, but you want to ensure that everything you're posting online, every ad, every tweet, every Instagram story, every Snapchat filter is all dedicated to your audience and to your community. You are building something here. You are creating a world for them to come in and engage with you. People say that the internet is a lonely place. But I disagree, because there are communities all over Instagram, all over Facebook, all over Twitter. So if you're able to build one of those, and here's the thing, you're never just going to belong to one community. You're never just going to be a part of the wedding dress community. But if you're able to be a part of many different communities, then why wouldn't you want your community to be a part of somebody else's daily routine? Maybe they're not getting married tomorrow. Maybe it's their sister's wedding. Maybe it's their second cousin's wedding they're looking for wedding gifts for. But eventually they might get married, or eventually they might be a bigger part of someone else's wedding and they can recommend you to them, or they will remember you for their own wedding. So really make sure you are cultivating a following and building that community so that people trust your brand, trust your product, and trust you. Even though I want to be clear, they're trusting a version of you. They're trusting the version of you you're putting online. This person's never going to know you personally, so you want to make sure that everything you're putting online is your best self, right? Don't post photos of you that are like you're drunk at the bar at 2 a.m. Unless you're selling like being drunk at the bar at 2 a.m., then go ahead and post that. But just make sure that if you're not selling that, everything you're posting really does show off your best self and the best version of yourself. The next thing you need to do on social media is create interest in your product and anticipation for upcoming products. So if people really, really love your wedding dresses and you're thinking about expanding into wedding shoes or veils or belts, I don't know what else goes with a wedding dress, belts. I think you can buy belts. I remember my friend getting married and she bought like 3 belts, wrapped them over top of each other just to really make it blingy, people, which is the bride's main goal, is to be a diamond in the middle of the room. So if you're selling belts for a wedding dress and you're thinking about expanding into that world, but you haven't yet because you only sell wedding dresses, then start talking about it on social media. Bring it up really casually in an Instagram story. Then write a post about it in your feed. Then have an ad saying coming soon. And you can really build interest and start building anticipation for your new products by just starting slow on social media and then building that interest. The next thing you need to do on social media is to have brand recognition. So brand recognition is really important because it means that when somebody is online, seeing your brand, seeing you post everything with that same shade of baby blue, that when they go to your actual storefront and they see that baby blue, they're like, oh, this is it. This is the same place. I have been extremely disappointed when something looks one way online. It looks very chic and very stylish. And then I go to their storefront and it's not. It's super disappointing and super upsetting, and it almost uncomfortable would be the feeling I use when you walk into a storefront and it looks nothing like their online presence. So make sure your online presence matches your storefront. But I'm not saying that if you know your storefront's a little trashy, make your Instagram trashy. No. Bump up your storefront then. Find a way to make it less trashy. Either way, your brand needs to be your brand, both online and at your storefront. So if you're ensuring that both of those always look the same, then you can always post on social media using that brand, and people will feel comfortable and feel like, oh, right, I'm a part of this community because they're using that shade of baby blue. I know it seems so silly and I know it seems so small, but little things like that really do make a big difference in the mind of an audience and of a consumer. Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, we're going to be talking about how you can think outside of your laptop. So we've talked a lot about digital marketing today, but I really want to talk about the actual physical world of retail marketing, because obviously a really big part of this is your storefront and your actual store and your actual product. So we're going to be ditching the laptops, ditching the Instagram, and we're going to be talking about how you can think outside of the laptop. So stay tuned for that, because you are listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and I'll be right back.
Are you a business owner? Someone interested in the latest news that might affect your business? Then check out the GSMC Business News Podcast, a show dedicated to keeping you up to date on all things concerning business, technology, and the stock market. Get a head start on the day as we keep you updated on the latest goings-on Wall Street, money, jobs, and technology. The GSMC Business News Podcast has you covered.
Welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and thank you so much for joining me on today's episode where we are talking about retail marketing. So far on today's episode, we have talked a lot about retail marketing in the digital space, and that's great. If you don't have a digital footprint right now, what are you doing? Time to get into it, guys. The gun has gone off, the race has started, because you need to start focusing on your digital marketing. However, the trick with retail marketing is that a part of it definitely has to be digital, but a huge component of it really is still that storefront and everything that is happening outside of the laptop, right? Like, people might not go to your website unless they've seen your storefront or they've seen something outside of the digital world that reflects your store. Or vice versa, they might be online, but then they want to go to your actual storefront. So you always want to make sure that although your digital marketing needs to be at the best it can, so does your outside, your real world, your guerrilla marketing. We're going to talk about that. All of that other stuff that goes on outside of the digital world, that needs to be at the same level as your digital marketing. So here are 4 to 5 different ways that you can sort of think outside of the laptop to ensure that you are using all of your resources and that you are being an active member in the active real world community. So the first one is guerrilla marketing. So I already talked about it like a little bit, but it really is such an important thing to focus on with your retail marketing, because If you are, say, in a prime location, downtown Seattle, because that's where I live, but maybe you're downtown New York, maybe you're downtown Boston, maybe you're downtown Calgary, Alberta, because I know I got some Canadian listeners here. But if you're downtown in a prime location, but you're like, nobody's stopping by, nobody's coming in, do you have posters out front? Do you have flyers around saying your location? Do you have a big flashy sign with your name? Do you have a chalkboard with balloons attached? Do you have something outside of your storefront that is telling people where you are? So a really great technique for guerrilla marketing is to make flyers and then post them in coffee shops, other local businesses that are in your area, around like a 50 block radius, I would say would be a good one. I was going to say kilometers, and then I realized, oh no, I have American and Canadian listeners, so if I say miles or kilometers, it might confuse some of you guys. But just a 50 block radius, put up some flyers on some light poles, or on like a flyer pole if you have those available, or just post them in a coffee shop on a bulletin board. That way people are able to find your storefront and also get a little bit more of that brand recognition that we talked about earlier. A really great example, there's this store that I absolutely love in Calgary, Alberta, called Blondie Boutique. And right outside of their store, they have a really great section kind of near the downtown of the city. They have a pink stop sign that says shop, and it looks super cool, and it makes you want to go inside their store and spend like hundreds of dollars. Just take all of my money, Blondie Boutique, because it's so bright, it's so pink, it's hot pink. It's kind of funny, and it really does draw your attention to the store because they are kind of tucked away. So it's a great way to emphasize who they are, what they're about, what their marketing is, but still have that brand recognition of every other piece of marketing in their store is the same color of hot pink. So it just sort of works, and it's sort of a fun way to sort of emphasize the product and the brand. So be thinking of things like that when you're thinking of guerrilla marketing. So another thing you can do is make sure that your name, brand, and merchandise are always outside of the storefront as well. Now, this doesn't mean that I want you to put your like beautiful wedding gowns outside. But what I am saying is that if you're going to be using guerrilla marketing, if you're going to be going to events, and we're going to talk more about that later, then make sure you have actual pieces of your product to show people. You obviously can't attach like a veil to a flyer and put that in a coffee shop. But what you can do is make sure that the flyer has a photo of your wedding dress, and obviously not like a blurry black and white one. Invest in some color printing, guys. Get some high-res images out there, because people aren't just going to go to something that says wedding dresses, this location. No. You have to say this wedding dress 50% off at this location. This way people are sort of seeing your product firsthand and getting intrigued by your product. And this way you're able to really engage with them without them having to be in the actual store. The next thing you need to do is you need to start networking with other businesses and the community. So you can do this through events. If you are, again, we're going to keep using wedding dresses. If you're a wedding dress person, go to bridal shows, go to wedding events, go to your friend's wedding and talk about your wedding business. I know that seems a little cheeky and like you want to leave the office at home, but you can't miss out on opportunities like that. So although the best friend's wedding is a little touchy, and I won't encourage that too much, but definitely be going to bridal shows, definitely be going to like cake stores, wedding cake stores, and make sure your flyers are up there. Make sure you're interacting with the people that own that business, and maybe you can do pop-up shops in their business and they can do them in your business as well. This could just mean that they're coming to your business, setting up outside of your storefront, and giving out samples of cake. 1, that is going to get people noticing your business. 2, it's great for their business, so mutual love there. And 3, it's just a great way to network, because that means you then get to go to their business, set up a storefront, and hand out photos of your wedding dresses, or maybe a free consultation fee or something like that. There's just so many different ways that you can network with the community you already have and that is around you. Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, we are going to be talking about seasonal peaks and how to plan for them accordingly. So stay tuned for that, because you are listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for a podcast that gives you all of the latest news from the world of finance? Then check out the GSMC Financial News Podcast. We'll delve into the ups and downs of the stock market, changes in the economy, and news from the world of real estate and technology. From breaking news on the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, or the overseas market, to updates on the bond market, if there's money to be made, we'll cover it on the GSMC Financial News Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode has been so much fun, but we're not done yet, honey. We are talking about how you can understand your seasonal peaks and plan accordingly for your retail marketing. Before the break, we were talking about how to think outside of your laptop, utilize guerrilla marketing, network in your community, and interact with the world around your actual business. If you sell wedding dresses, advertise with a wedding cake business, a bakery, if you will. So now what I want to talk about is what to do if you're a wedding dress company, or no, we're going to switch it up. I'll stop talking about wedding dresses. If you are a camping equipment company and it's the middle of winter, nobody wants to buy camping equipment in the middle of winter. But what happens when it's August 1st? Or when does camping start? March, May? Let's say it's May. What happens when it's May or Black Friday or any big sales going on that you're like, oh, this is going to be a peak. I need to plan for this. So let's talk about what to do for the peaks and the pitfalls of your retail marketing business and how you should be planning accordingly for both. So first of all, if you don't know, say you're a brand new business and you don't know what your peaks and what your pitfalls might be, but you kind of want to get ahead of it all, go to google.com/trends. You can search various categories and keywords and analyze the seasonal peaks for any brand. So again, say you just opened up your camping equipment business, then maybe go online and search other camping businesses that are really big and see when their peaks and their pitfalls are. That way you're able to better prepare. I can't guarantee that it's going to be 100% accurate for your business, but it might be a good way to sort of plan ahead and at least be ready for a peak or for a pitfall that could potentially hit you. So one way you can prepare for a peak, say Black Friday or a holiday peak, is that you need to plan your campaigns far in advance. So say you are doing a Black Friday sale, plan that a year before Black Friday. Every Black Friday, do your marketing campaign, get it out there, but then as soon as it's over, as soon as it hits Saturday morning, well, actually, you know what? Take the weekend off. But as soon as it's Monday morning, start planning for the next Black Friday. Take a look at what you did wrong. Take a look at what you did right. And create a marketing plan and a marketing campaign that reflects the best that you did that year, but also analyzes and utilizes all the mistakes you made that year. So planning a year in advance for really big seasonal peaks like Black Friday and the holiday season is really important, because if you wait until the last minute, you're going to really miss out on some really great sales and some really great customer engagement. So you can plan for your pitfalls in a similar way. Say that you're a swimsuit company and you find that in the colder months, say November and October, not quite the holiday months because a lot of people go on vacation for the holidays, but around October and November, you're starting to notice that nobody's clicking on your Facebook ads, nobody's coming into the store, and nobody's interacting with you anymore. Everything's just sort of slow and dull. First of all, always use this time to catch up and start planning for those peaks. This is a great time to sort of brainstorm for Black Friday, brainstorm for the holiday season, and make sure everything's in line. However, I don't want you just to go into hiding during your pitfalls. I don't want you to be like, oh, well, we're planning for our next big thing. This is a great time to have sales, promotions, clearance, pop-up stores, and events. This way you're still creating that community, you're still building that trust with your audience, and you're still ensuring them that, hey, although right now isn't the best time for you, we're sticking around, but, maybe buy this swimsuit that's 50% off because you might be going somewhere in December. It's a great time to sort of peak interest before the big peak. So don't just go silent during your pitfalls. Don't just sit there and scratch your head and wonder why. Always ensure that you are keeping up with the interest and that you are keeping up with potential buyers and potential sales. A great way to do this is to do it the same way that you're preparing for your peaks. Plan a year in advance. Say you've been running your swimsuit company for 5 years, and every year October 1st comes around and it takes a nosedive. Nobody cares. That means that every time that happens, pick up a pen and paper and start analyzing what you're doing, what you're not doing, and what you're doing well. This way you're able to next year in September say, all right, it's September 1st. We know our big pitfall's coming October 1st. Let's put this plan into action that we've had ready for a year. Let's start doing it right now to get ahead of this nosedive. I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to completely save you from a nosedive, but maybe it won't be a direct hit. Maybe it won't be that far of a pit that you're falling into. Maybe it'll be like more of a hole that your foot gets stuck in for like a minute. I'm just trying to prepare you for the worst. That way, when you get only a little bit of rain in your downfall, it doesn't totally flood your building. To put it that way, to put it in a very cliche, whimsical, moody way for you guys, if you want to think of it that way. So if you're planning ahead, if you're staying on top of it, pitfalls and peaks should not control your retail world, but they are such a big part of the retail world that you do need to be aware of them. So I highly recommend, even if you're a company that's been at it for years, take a look at google.com/trends and look up maybe your brand if you're big enough to have it be on there, or take a look at a really big brand that's been doing it for years and is really well known in the community so that you're able to sort of use their data to better influence your planning. A really great example, although it's going to sound kind of silly because of my first news story for today, but if you're a lingerie brand, maybe take a look at Rihanna's Savage X lingerie brand that we talked about at the beginning of the podcast and see what they've been doing right and what they've been doing wrong during their peaks and pitfalls. Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take a short break from the podcast, but when we come back, as promised, I am giving you the top 5 trends that are coming to retail marketers in 2020. So stay tuned for that. You are listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and I'll be right back.
The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast, the show that gives you advice on everything travel. We explore places you've always wanted to go, as well as giving tips for traveling in those places. We'll give you advice on the best sites for travel tips, information, and discounts. Join us as we travel the world, explore cultures, and meet new people. The Golden State Media Concepts Travel Podcast has got you covered. Download the GSMC Travel Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
And welcome back to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jaquish, and thank you so much for joining me on today's episode where we have analyzed retail marketing. We have gone through ways to improve your digital marketing with Google Shopping ads. We talked about how to up your social media game, but we also talked about how you can think outside of the laptop and improve your guerrilla marketing, your network abilities, and how you should always be working with the community around you. We also talked about how you can understand your seasonal peaks and pitfalls ahead of time to really step up your marketing and ensure that you're always on top of your game, you are always on top of trends, and you're always ensuring that whatever marketing you're putting into the world is of high quality for your company. So now that we are back, I promised all of you a special little treat at the end of this podcast. I promised that we would be talking about the top 5 trends that are coming to retail marketers in 2020. So get your pen and papers out. I'll also be tweeting them later. These aren't secrets. You can find them online. But we are going to be talking about them in great detail so that you can really get a handle on the trends. Number 1. Retailers will be bolder with ad campaigns. So this has a lot to do with what we talked about in our second segment of the podcast about how you really need to ensure that your Google shopping ads and your social media shopping ads are all at the top of their game because people are going to be upping the ante in 2020. My prediction is we're going to be seeing a lot of video ads, we're going to be seeing a lot of beautifully done graphic ads, and we're going to not see so much of those just simple, here's our retail product, here's the price, and here's the review. But having those 3 things are going to be such a big part of the bolder ad campaigns. They're still going to be included, but you need to think a little bit bigger and a little bit more theatrical, I will say, about how you're representing that information. A really great place to start, a really great way to just dip your toe into that pool is to start with a video. Make it super simple, but make it a video ad. It doesn't even have to be something like someone talking. In fact, I recommend not using someone talking. No one ever has the volume up on their phone, so I do not recommend having a video where someone is talking unless you are using subtitles. But if you're thinking, well, okay, how do I interact with video? If you sell brown leather boots, then have a video of someone walking in the boots or someone twirling in the boots or just a simple 5-second motion image of someone using the product. This will be a great way to make your ads stand out a little bit compared to all the other ads that are just photos of boots. It's a small thing and it's a small start to having these really big, bolder ad campaigns, but it's a great way just to touch your little toe into the water of being theatrical. Number 2, this one's also really funny because we did talk about it at the top of the podcast with Chipotle, but loyalty will be getting an update. So loyalty cards, loyalty ads, loyalty programs are all going to become a really big part of retail marketing this year. So far, all of retail marketing for loyalty programs have been a little overlooked. And I know that I sign up for a retail loyalty program every time I'm in a store, but then I lose the card, I forget the number, and I have to re-sign back up. So they're going to try to really increase the marketing for those loyalty programs. So loyalty programs will be getting an update in the way of making them easier to use for customers, easier to activate for customers, and easier to engage with. So a great example is how Chipotle is using guac mode, where if you're only replying to the text messages, they're going to stop sending you emails, or they're going to interact with you only on text, and they're going to stagger promotions that fit your needs. So they're really going to be paying attention to loyalty members and loyalty programs in 2020. So if you're in retail marketing, obviously I used the example of Chipotle, but it's because we already discussed it. If you're in retail marketing, say you own a store and you have a really great rewards program where if a member spends $100, they get a free item for free. Advertise that right now. Talk about changes that are going to be coming to your loyalty program. And if you have none that are coming soon, then make sure that you have some that are coming soon. Take a look at your loyalty program, take a look at your pitfalls of it right now, the problems with using it right now, and improve from there, because in 2020, it is going to become a very big deal. Number 3, social issues and politics will be duking it out in the marketing ring. So this is interesting, and we talked about Abercrombie and Fitch using this in the last episode, our Barbie marketing episode, because right now a really big problem in retail marketing is people are like, I don't look like that model, I'm not going to look that way in those clothes, what can I do? They're running a Face Your Fears ad campaign, which shows real people in real world situations of all body types wearing their clothes. So a lot of social issues like that, there's some politics stuff going on, especially in the States, and all of that is going to become heightened in the marketing world, especially in the retail marketing world. So it's sort of like when we were talking about Rihanna's Savage X clothing brand being called out for being dishonest with their marketing. I really just want to make sure that everyone who listens to this podcast or anyone who's in marketing, maybe you know somebody who's in marketing, be aware of what's happening in the world, be aware of what's going on around you in the world, and ensure that your marketing is always sensitive to it, and make sure that your marketing is always honest. This is also very similar to the Hunt movie that we talked about at the start of the podcast, about how they understood that they needed to take a pause on their marketing campaign while there was tragedies going on in the world. Number 4, brand recognition coming full stop. So this is interesting because it's something I consistently talk about, because brand consistency is beyond important, especially with retail marketing. Guys, it is so extremely important that your marketing online for your retail store matches your marketing at your actual store. You can't have something be all pink and pretty in an Instagram ad and then they come in and it's all black and dirty and grungy. That's not going to work. You are not going to build a community, you are not going to build a following, and you're not going to have trust with your audience. So ensure that whenever you are putting something into the world, both online and at your actual store, that it has brand recognition. Number 5, marketing on social will become more focused. So we talked about how you're able to target ads for race, sex, income, location, interest, events, and all that stuff. It is going to become more and more focused in 2020. You're going to see a lot of retail marketers only running ads for people who live within a 5-block radius, for people who are only interested in pink t-shirts. It's just going to become so much more focused, but instead of just running one general ad for everyone who lives in a 50-block radius, you're running smaller ads that are more focused to hopefully enter a world where you have a little bit more engagement with your audience and a little bit more interaction with those tiny little groups. All right, everyone, those are the 5 trends that will be coming to retail marketing in 2020. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of those trends or anything we talked about on today's podcast, please feel free to write it in the review or reach out through social media. Thank you so much for listening to the GSMC Marketing Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Mackenzie Jakewish, and I'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the GSMC Marketing News Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to any podcast app, and you'll find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, you'll find it all on the GSMC Podcast Network. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.